So I'm not able to see, Christy, just so you know, I'm not able to see participants joining and who's joining.
Okay.
Would you share it with me?
Share who's joining?
No. Are you able to share control with Kasia, you, and me?
Yes.
I could see too. Okay. Even if I'm not running the show.
Well, you should be because you're host.
Okay. I'm just not seeing the other humans. I know they're here. Humans, I know you're here, participants.
Yeah, go down below and you'll see an arrow. It says participants and hit that. And then you should be able to, and then next to that is panelists, and then next to that is attendees, and you can scroll
It's
through.
not happening. It's not happening for me. Oh, it happened. Oh, and it happened. So there you are. Oh, we have some of our friends are here too. People that we know and love, like Cindy's here, and it's been a long time. Heidi, it's so good to see you. Casey's here, and lots of new names of people who are joining us for the first time, which is always like super, super exciting. And I'm Pamela Madsen, and I am very lucky to host this extraordinary team of Back to the Body. And tonight we're giving you a very special evening. We call it Passport to Pleasure. It's going to have a lot in it. And sometimes you might feel a little nervous and a little warm because you may be seeing things and hearing things that you're not used to seeing and hearing. And so just notice that in your body if you're getting anxious. And, you know, give a little shake, right, Ron? Give a little shake, shake, shake. And that sound is my water. It will be there later. And tonight, so you're going to be seeing live demos, everything from what you might experience in an everyday program to what you might experience at a retreat. And the demo that you're going to be seeing, the live demo with Kasia and Cosmo, which is the full on demo that you might see at a retreat, is a very advanced retreat. It's like, no, you don't have to be ready to do all that to come back to the body. It's a beginner retreat. And so just be aware of that in your body. If you feel like, oh my God, I could never do that. You have no idea what you can do. It just takes a little bit of time. But we're showing you today what's possible, what you could be able to do. And you can do all these things at every age, in every body size, with tons of abilities and disabilities. It's all welcome. All bodies are welcome at Back to the Body. And when we do these passports to pleasure, we often frame them around an idea. And the idea that we're framing this passport to pleasure around is a new study that came out. And you know what? I'm not home. I'm in a hotel room. I don't have all of my things printed out around me. So I apologize. I can't cite the research that was just put out into the universe. And they were looking at, once again, why women, why some women, and you know what? Why some men don't want sex and think that something's wrong with them because they don't have desire. They don't feel a libido. They don't feel turned on. They don't understand it. And what the study said was, okay, you sitting down. This is big. It's the elephant in the room. What if you don't want the sex that's being served at home? Shocking, I know. But what if the sex that you're being served at home is kind of boring? It's not that interesting. It's not that exciting. It's not that good. And so you don't want it. So if you don't want it, your body kind of turns off. You don't have libido for what you don't want. If there's like a stale peanut butter sandwich on the counter, sometimes you'd rather go to bed hungry than eat the peanut. I know it's always a food metaphor, right? Here we go. So you don't want to eat the stale peanut butter sandwich. I'd rather be hungry. I don't want it. Then after a while, you just lose your appetite. I'm going to give you the other side of that. What if you're not giving touch worth having? Like, what if it's on you? And you don't have the skills and you don't know how to give touch worth having. And so your partner's kind of turned off to you. How do we fix that? How do we learn about sex worth having? How do we learn how to give and receive touch worth having? So I'm going to open it up for just a few minutes to my team, with these beautiful faces that are around you. If you would just say your name and who you are and what you do with Back to the Body, maybe a bite about this subject, and then we'll move on. We'll get to the meat of the matter. Ron, you want to start?
Hi, my name is Marla Stewart, and I've been working with Pamela and Back to the Body for a little while. Yeah, desire and lack of desire and skills. We weren't taught. We weren't taught to really love in a touching and affectionate and embodied way. We've been raised to have desires and deny our desires all at the same time, which creates this great conundrum. But I think as adults, when we make choices that we want things to shift, change can be rapid. And especially when you're in a group setting where there's acceptance and compassion and loving energy to learn and discuss and be more playful and erotic and sensual, we can learn touch skills. We can learn skills of how to communicate clearly. We can learn skills to set boundaries and to speak our desires. We can practice vocabulary and talking about body parts that maybe weren't encouraged in other aspects of our lives. So having that practice to do it in this community gives you the opportunity to build the knowledge and the vocabulary and the courage to move out into the world and have those conversations with other people so that you can bring back a wealth of intentional, loving energy and touch.
Thanks, Ron. And just so you know, he's shy. He's been with me since the moment we conceived Back to the Body. We're the mama and the papa. We're the original. It's been 10 years. And he helped found this with me. So if he won't say it, I will. Thank you, Ron. Amy, would you like to go? And I'm going to grab my water bottles from the front door here.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Kebernick. I am a somatic sexual educator up in Terrace, British Columbia, Canada. There's a few Canadians here in the mix, which is lovely. And I've been with Back to the Body now for about 5 years thereabouts. And it's been quite the adventure. My specialty is really around recovering and reclaiming your voice and your power, especially if you've been through past trauma. I do a lot of work with folks around that. I also work a lot with the spiritual, so meditative practices and embodiment practices. And one thing I want to say, I love the topic for tonight, sex worth having, because the stuff that it really brings up for me is what is our capacity? What is our capacity? And I think, in this time of COVID, I think a lot of people's capacity is feeling tapped physically, emotionally, mentally, and really what Back to the Body is offering is a place for you to dive into really learning how to rebuild some of that inner resiliency so that you're not giving from an empty well, so that you're feeling full and you have someplace that you can draw from. And there's just a wealth of knowledge here to soak in tonight, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
How about you, Tim? It's sort of like the Brady Bunch. I'm kind of going around.
Oh, first of all, My name is Tim. I am a sexological body worker, somatic sex educator. Been working at Back to the Body for a while now and enjoying every minute of it. And sex worth having, to me, it's not only about the sex, it's about I'd almost want to call it pleasure worth having. Because what Ron said, what Amy said, my sort of thing that I bring is this feeling that our nervous systems in our bodies, in this modern world, in this world we're working in, everybody is so activated all the time. Lots of triggers out there, lots of feelings coming out. And it disconnects us from this, from our actual bodies. And so Amy talked a little bit about like uncovering and releasing some trauma things. And I almost love to call it like when we're doing that work, it's almost like we're digging into the pleasure chest. We have buried treasure under there. And so when our desire is not really turned on, when our bodies are experiencing all the stresses that we all live with, we all live with these different stressors, and especially over the last year when people have been not being able to touch their family members as much even, or shake hands or even hug a friend. Our bodies turn off if we don't touch. And so the thing that Back to the Body is offering here as practitioners and as a staff is this way to dig into your pleasure chest, to dig for some pleasure. And sometimes that involves releasing things that get in the way, throwing some of the dirt off of the top. We go digging for it. And it is just, I will say, this is just my personal experience. I just got out of a room service retreat. The transformational change, and my background is also in counseling psychology, so I've been doing talk therapy for years. The transformational change that can come as the result of a 7-8 day retreat is literally, I watched 10 years drop off people's faces. It is incredible. So for me as a practitioner, that's just an incredible joy. Like, I love doing it. So that's it for me.
Thank you. So thank you, Tim. And sticking with this theme about sexual boredom, about touch not worth having, about, why we get turned off and drop our libido. Barry, you want to add like just a couple of cents before we get moving here?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Barry Caryl. I am a certified somatic sex educator, certified sexological body worker, and I'm also a core energetics therapist. It's a somatic therapy and I offer kind of a combination of somatic therapy and erotic body work at Back to the Body. Sex worth having. I've actually been thinking a lot about that lately. And any sex worth having is worth setting aside the time for. I think this was something that I learned at retreats with Pamela. And Tim was mentioning what happens in immersion. And we can create our own immersive circumstances, but when people are willing to carve out the time for pleasure, which usually involves some kind of planning, you have room to build a bonfire instead of like a little like hand warmer that you got to kick ashes on really quick. It's a whole different world when you give yourself the time. So make a pleasure plan. Go to a retreat. Make your own, but give it time, because sex unfolds. The erotic unfolds in time. And the more time and space you give it, the hotter and the juicier it will be. Check.
Thank you, Barry. Marla.
Hey everyone, I'm Marla. I started with Back to the Body just last year. So I'm super excited. I was super excited to join the team. And a lot of what I do is around seduction, kink stuff, dirty talk, well, physical, basically verbal, emotional seduction. And so when I think about sort of the subject at hand and what sex is worth having, I loved what Barry said, because that's exactly what I was thinking around, like setting the time. Well, first of all, being graceful with yourself, right? And like thinking about all the different stressors that have come up over time, and really being graceful and just saying like, hey, I know my body is going through a lot because the world is going through a lot. And so being able to recognize that, and I'll talk about this later on, but really being able to say yes to yourself too, and invoking that behavior, getting back to the body really, and moving in that space is really, really helpful. So yeah, I'm excited to be here once again, and yeah, I think I'm still pretty new, so I'm looking forward for one day going on the retreats as
Well,
well.
you don't have to worry about that,
I've only
Marla.
been here during the pandemic, so
Yeah, and this is really about more than inviting people into our programs. This is really a tool for people, and more than we'll make an invitation. Of course we will. But while you're here, while all of you are here, is really to learn and to get some information, and get turned on, and get something that you didn't have before. Not to have the sales pitch, even though I promise I'll give you one. So don't worry about that. We want to turn you on. We want to wake you up. We want to give you some new tools and some new ideas. And it's lovely to have you, Marla. And so our last two, and then we're going to move through, is Christy. And so Christy, I want you to know that she makes it all run here at Back to the Body. Hey, Christy.
Hi. Oh, welcome everybody. I'm Christy, and I've been with Back to the Body probably about 4 years now. I actually went on my first retreat, I remember, in 2017 to Portugal. And I am a psychotherapist. And so what struck me was the amount of change and transformation that can occur on the table and working with your body, because I do talk therapy all day. And so it just was amazing to me. So it was when asked to join the team, I was like a total yes on that. And so when I think about sex, I think similar to Tim in pleasure every day, like what is pleasure and how it fuels us and how it feeds us. And I love speaking to women about just like the staleness of relationship, because it's what I experienced before coming to Back to the Body. I thought I was, dried up from menopause. I thought like pleasure was for my youth. I thought after 10 plus years of marriage that it's just like, that's just what you can expect. And the transformation is absolutely not. That's not what you need to expect. And so it's completely changed my life and keeps me young and youthful. So I want pleasure for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Everybody.
Yes. And the last entry for the night, and this isn't our whole team. There are a couple of people that weren't able to join us tonight. Just sort of calling them into the room. And Kasha's going to be joining us after we show the demo to talk to us about that experience with Cosmo that you're going to get to see towards the end of the program. Court. Hey, Court.
Hello, my name is Court Vox, and I'm a somatic sex educator and sexological body worker. I've been on the Back to the Body team for about 1.5 years now. I can't believe that time has gone by so fast. I think this is a really interesting topic. I think the question of, are you being served the meal you want at home? And then there's also the other question, which is, am I serving the best meal possible at home? And I think what you do have control over is your own body, your own self, your own eroticism, and your own creativity. And so when you're in a partnership, you can't expect that person to always be bringing the juice, always be bringing the flavor. And so if that's something that you're used to being fed, maybe looking at like how you want to feed and what you want to bring in and what you're curious about. And, if you're curious about dominance and submission or kink or fantasy play, or you want to wear costumes or whatever that is, bringing that as a starting point, a new portal to erotic space that you haven't experienced before. And what's great about bringing this to your partner is it permissions them to do the same. So if you think you're scared to bring them something, let them know, this is scary for me and I am going to bring it anyway. And that gives them permission to bring you something scary and hold them in the same way that they held you. So that's kind of how I think about it.
I feel the same way.
Yay.
So thank you. We work mostly in the realm of sexological bodywork. And sexological bodywork works with like 4 pillars. And so help me, guys. We work with touch. We work with sound. We work with breath. And we work with movement. All 4 of those things.
And voice.
What?
And voice.
Isn't that sound?
Yeah.
Yes, voice of sound, but placement of awareness being the last one as well.
Oh.
Okay, and placement of awareness. Thank you. And placement of awareness. And so tonight, you're going to get to experience all those things. And so we're going to be doing some movement with you. This is participation. We'll do some talking head. We'll do some movement. We're going to do some sound. And then we're going to show you some really sexy stuff, some really sexy touch. And we're going to show it to you in a couple of formats, just so you're ready for what is coming at you. You're going to have some chatting. Marla's going to be speaking to us about erotic, and she's going to go into that. Ron's going to do some movement with us. Amy is going to do sound and song and breath with us. And Tim and Christy are going to be doing a demo of what you could expect if you were in our virtual everyday program. How do you work with a sexological body worker, which would be Tim, and Christy playing the part of the client? How would she work with a sexological body worker virtually and get her needs met and the exploration around what is good sex, what is good touch? How do we do that virtually? And they're going to do a demo of that. And Court and I are going to do a demo of fantasy, play, because we're a big believer that play and fantasy holds the container for all the skills and all the opportunity for you to be all of yourselves. And so we're just going to do a little demo of that, which you couldn't do in person, at a retreat, or virtually at our everyday program. And then Barry is going to take you guys through a taste of what it would be like to, as we say, reaching through the screen. And he will coach you through a short little taste of what it's like to work virtually with a somatic sex educator. And then all of you, and I'm talking to all of you, our guests, can participate in your body and feel with your body what's going on in all the demos. And then we're going to, the last big chunk, it's going to be a live full body demo, which we do at retreats. It's very new to us to bring this to the virtual world, putting it on a screen. And how does that feel watching this virtually or with the group of women and practitioners? It is a different feeling, and we're going to hold you through it. And I'm just going to remind you again, we always show you what's possible. And you're not expected to be, like, your first session wouldn't necessarily look like this unless you've been to, you know, 2 retreats maybe. So the women learn really fast. Pleasure is a great teacher. And then Kasha's going to join us. We'll process what we saw together. And then there's going to be an after party, which Christy's going to be hosting. And there'll be a link that's put up where you can all gather afterwards to discuss what happened today. And of course, yes, there'll be special offers and goodies at the after party. See, you never get away from these things without some kind of a special offer. And so we'll be doing that at the very end and at the after party. And Christy could also be arranging with you private consultations if you want to talk about this stuff one-on-one. Do I get that right, Christy? So who's ready to move? I'm ready to move. Time to stretch before we get down to it? Yes. So Ron Stewart is our maestro of movement. He's a maestro of so many things. And we're going to let him have the stage. If I could figure mine out.
Thanks, Pamela. Welcome. So part of our sexuality, a big part of our sexuality, is our bodies. And so being able to dial in to our bodies and to get in touch with our sensate feelings is a big part of the work that we do. So I'm going to back up so that I'm a little more full body in the screen, but you can stay where you are. And I'm assuming that most people are seated. And so I'm just going to invite you to bring awareness to the sensation of your body as it connects into your chair or your bed or your couch or wherever you are. And just let your awareness drop internally to the sensation of the parts of your body that are in touch with the ground, your chair, the earth, and take a deep breath. And as you exhale, just let the air spill out through the mouth or the nose. And then again, take a full breath. Fill yourself completely. And this time, let out a sigh. We're going to do that one more time. Fill yourself completely. Feel the expansiveness of your breath. We're going to take 2 breaths, the same quality, but reaching the arms above the head and then exhaling down the midline. Doing that again, taking another big inhale, reaching the fingertips away from each other, and then exhaling back down the center. I'm going to inhale the arms back up, interlace the palms at the top, and turn the palms to the sky with the elbows bent. Just really briefly here, taking your breath, and just reach your pinky fingers back in space, only if this is comfortable. So another part of this work is being able to monitor pleasurable sensations in the body. I'm going to invite you, as though you had a paintbrush in your hands and you were drawing a circle on the roof, on the ceiling above you. So you're exhaling forward and inhaling into the back space. Maybe doing this a couple of times, and then changing direction to exhale forward, inhale into the back space. One more time, exhale forward and inhale into the back space. Suspend here. Let's bring the fingertips to the floor behind you, or onto your chair, or onto the couch, or onto the bed. And just lift your chest towards the sky. Maybe have your eyes looking up about 45 degrees and staying here for 2 big breaths. With each breath, filling yourself completely, working like the tide. So the air comes in like the tide comes in, and then spills out again without interruption. Let's perch ourselves back up on our sits bones and just do a little side bend. This right hand can be on the chair, on your couch, on your bed, or on the floor. And this left arm is just reaching skyward, and let your right ear drop to your right shoulder. And so there's a reaching of your fingertips all the way that starts at your belly button. Just taking a breath here. Anytime you exhale and you want to pass the air over your vocal cords, let's allow that to happen. And let's just go over to the left hand onto the floor, right hand reaching for the sky. And now it's your right fingertips reaching away from your belly button. Make more distance and breathe fully. Again, keeping with the idea of fostering pleasurable sensations in the body. Let's inhale, perch ourselves back up, fingertips reaching for the horizon, and let's do some heart breaths. So we're going to exhale the hands to our heart space and inhale back out to the horizon. Exhale, letting out a sigh, letting out some sound, and inhale. One last time, exhale, bringing the hands to the heart center, connecting to the midline of our body, the right side, the left side, the midline, and just open the palms to the chest and just resting the palms on the chest and just go inward and see what are the primary sensations that are happening in your body right now. Continuing to breathe and just dropping into the body and feel what is true for you right now. Again, let's interlace the hands, reach the palms forward. Your spine falls into the back space. Inhale, back forward. And again, exhale, pressing back into the back space. Inhale, coming back up. Let your palms glide over your body in a soothing, calming, gentle kind of way. Include the top of your head and all the way down to your toes. Continuing to breathe fully, feeling the contours of your body. And then I'm going to make circles with my hands, and I'm going to skip the heel of my hand off the outside of my leg, running from the hip all the way down to the knee. Breathing, crown reaching for the sky. Just a gentle thumping into the body. And then at some point, reach the arms towards the sky, interlace the palms, reach them back up. Fingertips coming to the horizon. Let's go into a twist. To the right hand onto the floor behind you, left hand to the right knee. Get tall through the spine, and on the exhale, let your eyes gaze to the space behind you for one big breath. On the inhale, let's come back through center and exhale to the left. Left hand onto the floor behind you and right hand to the left knee. Inhale tall into the spine and exhale, softening the spine, the eyes reaching into the back space of your room, and then take a big breath here. Inhaling back into the center. Let's do raindrops on the crown of our head. So just a gentle tapping. I've been practicing Qigong lately, and tapping is great for releasing energy. So when we are processing all that is going on in the world, we're using mental capacity. So we'll just see if we can release some of that strain to help us become more present to what is true for you right now. Let's come down to the brow and just opening up that third eye, your house of wisdom, taking in information. And down to the face, opening and closing the jaw hinge. So tight jaws and tight scalenes on the side of the neck also corresponds with tightness being held in the pelvis. And so we can activate and access our sex, not necessarily by touching and being focused on genitals. We can touch other body parts to release tension and bring more pleasure into the body. Let's just bring our left ear to our left shoulder and just doing some massage here through the neck. Continuing to breathe. And if you're finding that you're always holding your breath, just be gentle with yourself. And then the other side, right ear to right shoulder, exposing this left side of the neck. Just I'm using the karate chop edge of my hand. You might want to work with fingertips. There's no right or wrong way to do things. There's just the ability and desire to follow your curiosities and your heart. Just going to do a couple more things, just shaking out the wrists. Again, filling yourself with breath. Let's make some fists and open up on the inhale. And again, fist and inhale. Taking my fingertips to the back of my upper shoulders. And I'm digging my fingers into the muscles there. And then just exhale, slowly lower the elbows while you're digging your fingers into the trapezius, and then shake that out. And maybe finding another place or repeating that if that was a sensation that was bringing pleasure for you. And again, exhale, lowering the elbows, breathing here. One last time, shake it out at each one. And then again, letting the hands move over the body in whatever quality works for you. So maybe you want it slower, maybe you want stillness, maybe you want fast and brisk and energetic. So just allow yourself to make a choice that is unique to you, and it's all good and it's all perfect. For 2 more breaths, just keep touching yourself, include your genitals if you'd like to. 1 more big breath, and bring your palms to stillness anywhere on your body that brings you pleasure right now. And just close your eyes and just feel what is true for you in your body right now. Let's take 2 big breaths together. Thank you for joining me in this moment of movement. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Ron. I'm probably like a disembodied voice right now. Here we go, and I'm going to turn my camera back on. Oh, I feel so big. And I'm happy to introduce the first of that. First of all, that was such beautiful to move in our bodies. Thank you, Ron. And Ron is, again, one of our practitioners of Back to the Body, and you can work with him in our virtual program or in person at retreat. And he's extraordinary. And next up is one of the first of our demos. And this is going to be Tim Weaver and Christy, and they're going to be demoing how you can work with a practitioner virtually. And some of what they'd be demoing would be done in person at one of our retreats. So now I'm going to exit this. And they have the screen.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, thank you, Pamela. I think what started out as kind of an experiment during COVID with what's possible to give touch to women has kind of turned into this incredible operating lab that we have to really allow for touch and to allow this work to move forward regardless of where things are at. And what started out as a program for that kind of pivot is really something that is continuing and running. And I think will be long standing for Back to the Body. So we surprised ourselves, right, Tim?
Oh my goodness. I think the thing that surprised me most about the everyday program and the online work is how, well, two things. There's this amazing layer of safety and comfort and being in your own home and being in your own space while you're experiencing these things. That is incredible. And also what amazed me was the level of depth that we get to go to. I was shocked at how deep the screen allowed us to go. So those are two things that really, really have been fun to play with. And
we're going to play.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So Christy and I are going to role play a little demo. And this is just a little hint of the flavor of what you can experience in the everyday program. And this is unscripted. Like, we're not reading off of anything. Christy and I got together a little earlier and sort of talked about what she was sort of wanting today in her body, just like we would do in an email, like back and forth. And we're gonna do it like we would do in a little session. So are you ready, Christy? You want to say anything else?
Just that, the premise would be that Tim has done an intake on me, a sexual history. He knows the things that I'm working on. And coming into it, I have questions about, touch, and maybe coming into it, incorporating like play with my partner and things like that. And so those are all possible things in a session, and more and more and more.
Yeah, and thank you. This is only one of, Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors. We have way more. There's a lot of different flavors. So this is just, you won't get vanilla today. Actually, it will be more like chocolate sprinkles. So you want to play?
Yeah, let's play.
Awesome. So I know in our last session, I had given you a little bit of homework to go on a little shopping trip because we were playing with some self-touch last session, which you really enjoyed. And then I had invited and encouraged you to maybe try some of your nails a little bit. It gave a different sensation. And so when I sent you off to the store, and can you tell me what your experience was and what you got?
Yeah, well, one, it was super fun. And yeah, it was good to have like an objective of bringing sensation play. So I got this fun little rooster feather and a little tassel thing that we could play with.
Sometimes we call that a flogger.
Some little rabbit fur flogger. Which is super fun and soft. And then I kind of went out on the edge and
what'd you do?
I got
you got claws. Yay. Oh, fantastic. Lovely. So how did it feel sort of going out and doing that and being out in the public sphere and sort of feeling that?
Yeah, it felt edgy, like a little yellow, out of my comfort zone, a little edgy. But yeah, once I got in there and I had kind of an objective and was able to tell somebody that I wanted sensation play and they were able to help me, it felt a lot more relieving.
Fantastic. So would you like to play in the body a little bit and try some somatic things?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. So let's start with just dropping you in for a minute, how about, would you be open to choosing a couple of toys right away, and then we can work with them? Maybe something scratchy. In fact, you said the last thing were the nails, right? Was that a little bit of a yellow edge for you?
Super.
Maybe those on one hand. And what's the opposite of that for you?
For me, the opposite would be the feather.
The feather. Okay.
Softness of the feather.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's take a minute and drop in. that way. If you want to just close your eyes for a moment for me, and go ahead and allow your breath to move all the way down into your belly. Deep in breath. Yeah, letting that exhale move. And then one more real breath. And I want you to feel your pelvis expand, your whole bottom. Sort of the area that cups your genitals and hips, just filling with breath and then letting out. Good, coming back to your body. Fantastic. Now, if you're open, taking those claws and maybe running them somewhere on your arm, either the back or the front. Why don't you try a light touch with them first and see what you notice. And if you feel called, please speak about the sensation.
Yeah, it like opens up my awareness of my body and drops me in like even deeper maybe.
And are you using a light touch with those nails?
Mm-hmm.
So what does it feel like actually?
Scratchy.
Scratchy a little bit. All right. And now on that same arm, since you have the feather, why don't you lightly run the feather down that same place? What do you notice in there?
Just the difference, the softness.
Do you have one that you prefer, or are they just different for you?
I think just different. They both give me like something kind of yummy to focus in on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's play a little bit different. Why don't you take those same claws and go ahead and on a place in your arm, give yourself a little pressure until you notice there might be a little bit of discomfort, right to the edge of discomfort there.
Mm-hmm.
What's that feel like for
you? I mean, it makes me aware of the touch and what my limits would be.
Perfect. And if you take that touch away,
yeah.
What do you notice on the skin right where you were when you take that touch away?
I can still feel the pokiness.
You can. Is there any other sensation there too? Heat or cool or?
Yeah, heat.
Tingling?
Mm-hmm. Tingly, heat. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's nice to sort of expand the sense that way, where something would be sort of uncomfortable to the edge of discomfort. Maybe it's nice to use those different words to explore, oh, maybe it's just sharp or hot or tingly, not it expands our idea. Now I have a question, and this might be yellow for you, so I'm going to authentically ask, how would you feel about using those same toys right on your inner thighs?
I mean, it's a yellow, but
Are you open to it?
yeah.
All right. So I'm going to invite you, and let me just take a little, 1 second. Notice too, ladies, how Christy can orient the camera, how she likes it. So I'm going to ask you, Christy, are you comfortable with the camera where it is? If you're going to work with your thighs?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. So go ahead. And my invitation is to use those claws with one hand and the feather with the other hand. And what I'd like, if you would like to try, is, that inner thigh place where the crease of your inner thighs is? I'd like you to get as close as you can with both of those tools, sort of to that crease, wherever you feel comfortable, and then use them alternatively on each leg. So try a stroke with your claws on the inside of one thigh, and then a stroke with the feather
Ooh.
on the inside of the other thigh. And then a stroke with the claw on one side of the thigh, and a stroke with the feather on the other side of the thigh.
Ooh.
And if you're feeling adventurous, you can move that even a little bit closer to like right at the crease where your legs end, not quite at your genitals, but right on the edges there, and see what those two things feel like there.
I definitely prefer, surprisingly, the claw.
Hmm. Now, why don't we play that same way, except maybe give a little bit more pressure to the claw and use the feather right after it on the same stroke. So claw, feather, right up your inner thigh.
Okay, that would work.
There you go. That's right. That's great. And now,
It's almost like edginess and then like self-soothe.
edgy and then
Claw,
self-soothing. So there are
edgy,
these
feather, self-soothe. Like,
claw edge, feather soothe, claw edge, feather soothe. Now, go ahead and are you wearing some kind of like cloth on the bottom?
mhm.
So why don't you try, if you feel open, to just run that same motion right up the center, right up around your vulva, and then the feather. So claw a little bit and just wait and see, and then feather.
Mhm.
A little slower this time. Claw, 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 claw. Wait and sense it. Breathe into that feeling of it running up you. And then soothe with the feather. A little bit of tension with the claw
Mhm.
and the softness with the feather. And I want you to take just another 30 seconds, Kristen, and really drop into that feeling. Play with those two things. Good. Yeah. Now, yeah, that's great. Love that motion, love that breath. And as you now draw the claw up, your sort of like softness of your vulva, I want you to breathe as you draw the claw from the bottom, breathe in, and right at the top of your pubic mound, give a little bit of claw, hold your breath till it becomes uncomfortable. And then when you're ready, Christy, let your breath out. So in breath as the claw goes up. Hold that point right at the top where you feel discomfort, and then let it all out. A little bit of feather soothe. And then one more time, let all the breath out of your body. Start right at the bottom. And as you breathe in, allow that claw to really slowly drag up your flesh. Hold it. Hold it a little more. And when you're ready, let it go. Yeah, just be with that for a second. Good, nice body movement. That's lovely. That's beautiful. What are you noticing?
Just feel calmer and definitely more centered in my body.
I'd love you to place your attention now, turn your attention along with your breath down to your vulva, down to your genitals and your sex. What do you notice there?
Just warming, awakening. Yeah.
A warming and awakening. So they're alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now with that aliveness, we're going to sort of bring that to a close coming up, a fullness there. Thank you. And an aliveness. And now you can take that with you on the rest of your day. And you will be, you can have that juice with you. Take with you and walk the rest of your time today. And you can choose to maybe stir the pot later on your own.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for playing it.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say? Just sort of.
Noticing that you can have touch even if you're not in relationship, and the guided touch allows for that newness or feeling of surprise, or maybe something you didn't think of. And that the noticing of, I can keep the camera wherever I want, that it's, if I wanted to be witnessed more, I could be witnessed more, or if I wanted to be in my own space and feeling like that's a little yellow, to kind of move the camera down further, that it's really guided in your voice and choice. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. And how does that make your body feel?
I think empowered and embodied,
Awesome.
And then if I can do that in session, then that translates to other areas of my life, including relationship.
Right
What's
on.
my yes? What's my no? What's my yellow? How can I voice that with my partner?
Awesome. And so let me ask another thing that way too. If you're in partnership right now, would those be tools like that you might want to bring to your partner and play with, those claws and feather? Now that you know how they feel on your own body, you could explore maybe how they would feel on your partner's body. And would that be a fun thing for you?
Absolutely. And then the way that you have me explore with them, I feel like it's something I can translate to my partner. You don't know what you don't know. So it's like, how would I use those claws in partnership? And then I'm kind of instructed to do it on myself and know what feels good for me, so I could take that to my partner. We have a lot of comments. I'm feeling pretty sexy. Absolutely feeling sexy on this end. Yay. Yes, so hot with the contrast. Yes, I hope people played along with us and got
yeah. Oh, I should have told them your nails
Yeah.
and your soft touch are just the same as the feather and the claws. You have all these tools right at your very fingertips, ladies.
I love the whole voice. Somebody said I'm experienced of being a voyeur. Yes. And we get to be the experience of being exhibitionists. So that's
And neither of us like that, do we, Christy?
Never, no.
Never.
It is kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? And this, I want to just say one last thing to sort of close it. And this is a beautiful space, because when we feel those little tensions or shames or like things that we may not be as comfortable with, we're like, ooh, yeah, I kind of like being seen, but wow, that is an edge for me. This is a safe place to do this with the screen. And I'll say one more thing that I noticed after having done this every day, and I've been deep in it. I have quite a few clients that I see with every day. And the one thing I will say is that Court said it earlier, people who take time to make time for their erotic selves live in more pleasure. So we are so fortunate that way.
I think so too. And I think that, when you look at like wellness models, there is no space or place. There's something like for physical activity and like health and spirituality, but there is no place sexuality. And so we're putting sexuality back into that wholeness model of wellness.
And can I ask a question for you as a woman, just real quick at the end?
Mhm.
What's it like for your body to experience touch that doesn't have an agenda? You and I aren't in relationship. We are professional colleagues. I'm not trying to get any needs met from you. I'm just here to be with you really deeply, to see where your body wants to take us. What is it like to receive unagendered touch like that?
I think for me, with you and the other male staff of Back to the Body, it has healed a place that there's not been trust with the masculine. So for me, it's a very safe space to play with you in, that there's nothing you want from me. And then
Right.
I can heal my relationship just with the masculine in general in this space. And the other is that I get to open my body up to just receiving. Whenever I'm giving, there's a hypervigilance about that, or a buzzy quality about that with my nervous system of like performance, or am I doing this right? But when we're opening ourselves as containers to just receive with no agendas, I think that.
Can I say something? Last thing,
Mhm.
and this is a personal thing, and I'm just going to be sort of vulnerable and authentic, everybody here. I love all bodies so much. Young, old, big, small, like it. What we just did today, we can do on any body
Mhm.
and have so much pleasure. And so what you said about not having to perform really hit me strongly right there, Christy, because being able to just be in the body that you're in and know that this kind of touch is for you. This kind of pleasure is for everybody.
Yeah.
Feels, yeah, it's a joy to as a practitioner to feel and to explore that with everybody. So yeah, I'm glad you felt that.
Yeah. Pamela's
you,
back.
guys.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Pamela.
That was wonderful. And all really, really enjoyed that very much. I appreciate the warm up for
Mhm.
my fantasy demo with Court, because I'm a little bit more flushed and a little bit more awake right now than I was when we started. Yeah.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank y'all.
And I'm going to invite Court Vox to turn on his video. Hey, Court.
Hello. So
Go ahead. You talk about fantasy play.
yeah, so I think this was what drew Pamela and I together so early on, is we both have this love of play and fantasy in our lives, and we love to bring it to people we work with. And this is one of the ways that we do it. So I think what I love about fantasy so much is that we can play with it without it being real. So things that might be scary or might have some shame around, or we are just kind of like, I don't know if I would want to do that. Being able to play with it in our minds really is a safe space. And it also, for me, is a portal to erotic. So just hearing a sexy story, or playing off somebody, whether that's in a texting session, or you're having an email exchange, or you're on the phone and having kind of like a sexy banter. This is an exercise that really supports that. It supports imagination. It supports kind of an embodied look at fantasy, and a way to connect your body with the thoughts that you're having. So I guess it would be somatic fantasy play in that way. And so we're going to do a little demo, and usually
This is something that you can do both in the everyday program virtually, the way Court and I are going to be doing it, or in retreat in person with your practitioner, which you can start with the narrative and move into the body work, correct, Court?
yes.
And something that you can take back and do with a partner.
Yeah.
So we also work unscripted.
Yes, and so usually if we were in a session, either online or in person, I would say, would you please write down 3 to 4 fantasies? In this case, Pamela, I'm just going to ask you maybe if you have one that you'd like
Yes.
to either write down or just share with me here.
Okay. So this is one we've never done before. Who likes
Okay.
it when I throw them at them what we've never done before? So,
Sometimes, yeah.
so I'm going to go into the space of I'm one of the participants of our program, and you've asked me to write down 4. And I'm actually feeling a little self-conscious and blushy, which is perfect.
Perfect.
Usually how it feels for our women. So last night,
Mhm,
I was watching American Gigolo,
mhm.
and with who's in that? Richard Gere. Was it Richard Gere I was watching? Might have been Richard Gere. It was so sexy. This woman in a hotel, and this man who she didn't know was coming up to her room to pleasure her. And that she was going to do this thing that women don't do, but men do all the time. She was going to pay for it. And that just feels so dirty to me. So that's fantasy.
So that's the fantasy. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start by, I'm going to start by asking a few questions.
Okay. I'm feeling all like, ooh, okay.
So where are we?
I'm in a hotel.
You're in a hotel.
Mhm.
And what floor of the hotel are you on?
I'm on the 4th floor.
The 4th floor. Okay. And you go to the window and look out the window and tell me what you see.
See the CNN sign
Mhm.
and construction and blue sky.
So it's daytime.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
describe the room that you're in. Is it white? Is it dark colors?
It's clean, so it's really different than my room. Anywhere. It's all neat, and the bed is made, and there's chairs to sit on. A big white bed and 2 blue chairs, and you might even be able to see them.
Mhm. And are you laying in the bed?
No,
Where are you?
I'm hiding in the bathroom.
Hiding in the bathroom. Well, notice what the tiles of the bathroom floor feel like on your feet.
They're cold.
Cold. And what does the rest of the room feel like around you? Is it cold too?
No, it's really hot in here, and I'm nervous because there's going to be a knock on the door soon.
Mm.
I
Actually,
don't know what I don't know what I've done. This may have been a mistake.
oh. So can you identify the feelings in your body?
I'm anxious and I'm turned on. I'm nervous.
How do you know that? Is your heart
Where?
beating? Is your heart
What?
beating really fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your breath, how is your breath?
Short,
Short breath.
quick.
You know, your phone is ringing. You might want to answer it.
It says unknown number. Okay. Hello.
I'm downstairs. Would you let me out?
Yeah. There's a key with the receptionist with your name on it.
Hmm.
I've really
Mhm.
done it this time.
And what are you wearing right now?
I'm naked.
Naked.
I have a bathrobe on, but I'm naked underneath. And I'm feeling like, I don't know, should I be putting something else on? Should I be in a dress or jeans or something sexy?
Just take a
I'm
minute
sweating.
to
I'm sorry.
notice the fabric of the robe on your body.
It's soft,
It's soft.
but I'm sweating.
Is it cotton or silk?
So,
Silk.
yeah, and my pussy is feeling awake
Mm.
and it's beating as fast as my heart. mm, mm, mm.
Mm. I want you to walk slowly to the door
Mm-hmm.
and describe the way the carpet feels on your feet.
I'm walking slowly forward, but I want to walk backwards.
Mm.
What if he doesn't think I'm pretty? Is he supposed to think I'm pretty?
I want you to feel into your body. Notice how the fabric of the silk of your robe
Mm,
slides and also sticks into the sticky parts of your body.
feels sexy.
And you might notice the cool breeze from the air conditioner on
Mm,
wet skin.
yeah,
How does that feel?
it feels like I'm wondering if the breeze is going to feel like his kiss on my neck.
And now that you're at the door, reach down.
Makes my breath short.
Mhm. Reach down and grab the door handle. And notice the coolness in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
And can you open it? And describe what you see in front of you.
An extraordinarily handsome man.
Mm. Hello.
Hi.
So you called me up. May I come in? Is it all right? It's all right. You don't have to be shy. Take my hand.
Okay.
Take my hand.
Mm, you can come in.
Stand over there so I can look at you.
Oh. Hmm.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Mhm. Turn around. And what a beautiful body you have.
Thank
And what did you want to get out of this tonight? You didn't say much in your call to me.
I wanted some adventure. I wanted to be touched in a way that I haven't been touched in a long time.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Come over here. Come over here.
I'm here.
Move your hair away from your neck. Here you go. You wanted me to touch you like you've never been touched before.
Yes.
What about right here on your neck? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mm,
feels so good. Oh, I like your whiskers.
yeah. Just softly at first.
Yeah,
Just barely there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh, I can feel your teeth.
Mm. You like a little bite.
Yeah, I
Mm.
like your teeth and your whiskers.
Mm.
Ah,
That's an introduction to my mouth.
mm.
Where would you like my hands?
Oh, God. Gently around my neck,
Mm.
on my chest. And I'd like to, oh, I'm being very forward.
I asked you what you wanted, didn't I?
I'd like you to have me up against the wall,
Mm.
like in the movie.
Like in the movie.
Yeah.
You want to be pushed against the wall.
Yes.
Yes. You want me to take what I want from you.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, God, I think I'm feeling.
You're feeling something. Yes. Lift up your skirt.
Hmm.
That's too fast. Do it slower. Mm-hmm.
You watching?
Yes. And can you feel my hand on the back of your thigh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what my hands feel like.
Oh, they're big. Mhm. Yeah, I'm having trouble like being still. I'm squirming.
Do you want me to keep touching you?
Until Chrissy tells us we have to stop. She may have to break in.
No. Then stand still.
I don't know that I can.
Yes, you can.
We have 3 minutes left.
Wow, this is a lot of pressure to finish in 3 minutes.
Oh, but you like it. I heard in your when I read about you, it said that you like to play with denial.
Yes, so maybe I will leave you here. Hot and bothered.
Yes, it was a very expensive date.
I'm going to go downstairs and have a drink. I'll be back in 30 minutes.
You promise?
No.
Can I, why wait?
Why wait?
Well, I can't talk. Well, what, I wait for you.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I touched myself?
No,
No,
that's not allowed.
it's not.
That's mine now.
It's yours now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Ah,
You understand?
yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then you wait here.
Hmm.
No touching yourself.
No touching myself.
I'll be back in 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Don't try and trick me.
Thank you. Okay, folks. So that was nibble of fantasy play, and it could have gone in so many different directions. Virtually, Court could have led me in a self-touch, self-pleasuring, where his hands, my hands become his hands. In retreat, It could have shifted too, right, Court?
Mhm. I think what's great about this is we could have carried this out all the way through to the end of a session, and we could have just dropped it at any point, right? Pamela and I talk a lot about this as a portal into erotic space. So what are ways that we get from like 0 to 100, right? It's not, we have to have kind of mechanisms or paths to get there. And this is just one of them that's really kind of fun to work with. I think if you notice, like Pamela and I broke character a couple of times, we started to laugh at each other. And then we just got right back into it. And, that could be really sexy too, to laugh at yourself. I did a scene with somebody once. It was an exploration, and it was something that they had a fantasy around since they were a young schoolgirl. And like halfway through the scene, she just started to cry, to laugh so hard she was crying. And I also began to laugh so hard I was crying. And it was a really fun shared moment. And it didn't hinder or take us out of the moment. It was actually a shared experience that we had, and a shared intimacy that was present just between the two of us. And something actually that we got over and we kept going. And afterwards, we laughed again about how fun that was, the sexy parts of it, the thing that was like the fun trigger. So, don't be afraid to try fantasy because of failure. I think it's fun when you fail too.
Thank you, Court, for playing with me.
Always.
And it's time for us to go up the stage. And I know it's so hard for us, isn't it? And welcome Barry Caryl, who's going to lead all of you folks out there in an experience. So that was hot, hot, hot. Thank you, Christy. I'm loving reading the comments. It's really fun. So welcome, Barry.
Thank you. I love following you in court. Makes my job so much easier.
Everyone's feeling turned on now, yes?
I am. I hope everybody else is too. So what I'm going to invite you all on now is a sort of erotic walk around the block with me. And this is kind of a taste of what a session in the everyday program might look a little bit like. No two people are the same, no two sessions are the same, even with the same person. So let's all just start taking a breath together. Big inhale. And a big exhale with a little bit of a sigh. Just yeah, good. Try another one. Big inhale. And exhale. Good. Try it again and just notice how deep in your body you're allowing your breath to go. How far down in your body will you allow your breath? Does it come to your neck? Do you stop it at your diaphragm? Do you stop it at your navel? Do you stop it at your pubic bone? Or does the breath go all the way down to your sphincters? Take another breath and just see if you can let that breath penetrate all the way down your trunk and even past your trunk, down your legs to your feet and into the ground. Let's try that together. Let the air penetrate deep into your body and let it out. When you breathe, you feel. The more you breathe, the more you feel. So keep breathing. Now, I would like to take your hands. Please. Your hands are my hands now. One hand is going to give. One hand is going to receive. And we're just going to take the fingertips of our giving hand And very, very gently and lightly rub the tips of the fingers of your receiving hand. And just notice how that light touch activates your fingertips, some of the most sensitive parts of your body. So many nerve endings. We can practically see with our fingers, they're so sensitive. And let your giving hand stroke down your fingers to the palms, just like that, just like that. And notice how that feels. Notice how that light touch activates your fingers. Then bring it down to your palm, to the center of the palm and out. Center of the palm and out. Then stroke from the fingertips all the way down to your wrist, right there. Such a sensitive spot. Such a sensitive spot. And the fingertips all the way down inside of your arm to your elbow. Also very sensitive. And then take your fingernails, drag them all the way back up to your fingertips. So good. Then change hands. And your giving hand is now going to be your receiving hand. And your receiving hand is now going to give. Now just notice how that feels. There may be a difference for you, there may not. But then take the fingertips of your now giving hand very, very lightly. Rub the fingertips of your receiving hand, the circles. And then come down the fingers. Notice how it feels. It may feel different in each hand. The fingertips of your giving hand may feel very different than the fingertips of your receiving hand. Just notice. Just notice what there is to notice. Then bring the fingers all the way to the center of the palm and out, like you're pulling a thread. Good. You still breathing? Good. Okay. Come all the way down inside of the forearm. Right. Good. Slow. And then fingernails drag back up all the way to the fingertips. So good. Thank you. Now hold your receiving hand and your giving hand. Bring it to your face and blow very lightly down the center of your receiving hand, like you're blowing out a candle. Just notice what it feels like to feel your cool breath on the palm of your hand. Now, open mouth, hot breath on the palm of your hand. Just notice what that feels like. Now turn it around again. And this is going to be your receiving hand, and this is going to be your giving hand. Hold your receiving hand. Blow lightly on the palm, right there, right down the middle. And again. Just notice how that feels. The breath in the palm of your hand. Now, bring it to your face again. Hot breath on the palm of your hand. Notice how that feels. Hot, moist breath on the palm of your hand. Take another breath in and just notice if there's a part of your body now that is calling to you to be touched. Doesn't matter what part it is. You know how these very sensitized, wonderful, seeing, feeling organs on the ends of your arms that are magic. I feel my ear needs some touch. Feel the texture and the heat and the quality of the part of your body that you're touching. Maybe it's your skin on your arm. Maybe you're getting more adventurous and touching another part of your body. Or stroking down the front of your body. Or your sides, or your legs. Just notice, especially if you're giving yourself slow touch, how good that feels. We have special receptors in your skin that only respond to slow touch. When was the last time you touched yourself with compassion, with love, allowing your body to assimilate touch at its own speed? You take both of your activated hands, bring them to your heart. Take another breath in. Another breath out. And thank yourself for taking the time to give yourself touch, to love yourself, to appreciate the magnificent being that you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That was beautiful. I encourage
Oh, you're welcome.
everyone to take a minute and notice how they're feeling in their bodies right now. I'm trying to figure out how to put my video screen back up. Here I am. Here I am. Where's that little thing? There it is. There's the button. There I am. I didn't disappear completely. Barry, that was really beautiful. And I encourage everyone just to notice how they're feeling in their bodies right now. And if you want to put some words in the chat box about how that made you feel in your body, please do that. Please share with us. Christy's saying she feels really soft and aware and alive. And any other words that people feel like they want to share right now, you're welcome to share that. Comforted, nice. Yeah. I love activating the finger and the hand sensors. Yeah. It's amazing how much we can feel. Cassie is vibrating. And notice that you're safe and surprised. Notice how much you can feel virtually. It's really extraordinary, isn't it? How we can stimulate our senses and our desire for touch through the glass. And that's what we do with the Everyday program for women in between retreats or women who aren't ready to come to retreats, get this kind of attentive attention. So thank you. And I wanted to let you know a little bit of what's happening next. So we're going to take a bathroom break. And then we're going to come back. And Amy, who's one of our practitioners you met, is going to lead us in some sound. And then we're going to do a full-on demo of sexological body work with two of our very experienced practitioners. And there will be nudity, not your nudity, but Kasha will be naked and receiving touch on the table. And it will give you an opportunity to see what it might be like to experience sexological bodywork at a retreat. And I do want to, as they say, seed an offer now, that most of our programs this year are sold out, believe it or not. We've been able to work with COVID and safely and carefully. So our private retreats, the ones that I do with Court, have been completely sold out this year. And our retreat in Mexico in November is sold out. I think there's one spot left in Santa Fe. In September, our Vegas retreat, which is next week, is sold out. There is one retreat left this year, and it's going to be our last retreat at pre-COVID pricing, because we're changing the structure of our company. We're moving towards much smaller retreats because of COVID. And also because in COVID, we learned that we really like our smaller model. So we're going back to retreats that are 6 women, 8 women, and 12 women, which means the prices are going up. So the June retreat at Eastern Mountain, New York is the last retreat that is under $7,000 for, it's actually $6,000 for a full 7-day retreat. And we have payment plans, and it's going to be limited to 6 to 8 women. And I hope you come to the after party and hear about what's possible between the everyday program and the retreats, and take advantage of this last offering at this highly reduced price before things, well, they've changed already, but we've kept this one retreat at a very accessible price. And the teachers will be, the hands-on practitioners will be Court Fox and Tim Weaver, and I'll be there, and there'll be lots of other folks, and other practitioners offering various kinds of side dishes and wonderful things. So that's me seating. And I'm going to offer you some time to go to the bathroom, take 5 minutes, and then come back. And Amy will be starting now anyway. And you can also take this time to go to the bathroom. And then we will, after Amy does her presentation, we will be beginning the live demo, which is actually taped. And then we'll have question and answer, and then we'll have the after party with Christy, where she can answer all of your questions. So away we go. And I am, yes, there are spots for June at the reduced price before the price increase. Yes, there are spots. I can't. It's a wonderful program. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to welcome Amy on and let her start warming up the room. And yes, and I'm going to leave. And once I figure out how to leave, I'm going to be leaving.
Thank you, Pamela. Welcome, everybody, to the sound portion of the evening, or the bathroom break, if that's what you're needing to go and take care of those bio break needs. Get yourself some water. It's funny, all of the practitioners at the Back to the Body, we all work with breath and sound and movement in lots of different ways. And I often think I get past the sound portion because of my background, perhaps, as a musician and as a singer. So before I kind of took the dive into the world of Tantra and sexological bodywork, as a somatic practitioner, my background was in music. And so for about 23, 24 years, probably more now if I really think back on it, that has been, my career in my life. I've been helping people access and express their authentic voice and connect to that part of themselves. So I've been working with breath in an embodied way, helping people connect with their sound. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, my own journey with sound and why I feel like sound is so very, very important when it comes to arousal and pleasure in the body. For those who have met me before or heard me speak, I often will share the information that my childhood, was full of a lot of different types of trauma. And sound and singing became one of the ways that I could feel safe in my body, and I could express my voice without feeling shut down. Yeah, so it became a refuge for me, and actually a form of healing. I would say, you know, I really look back now, I believe I got into singing because I was trying to give my little self sound healing. That was part of my journey. And is the other thing I really kind of want to touch on is that sound does, you know, it has the capacity to heal those beautiful sound vibrations. Sound permeates everything. So we know that, and it can also increase arousal. So if you think about maybe the ways that you allow yourself to express or make sound in your life, and perhaps there are also ways or places or situations where you feel like you're not letting yourself make those sounds, right? So for a lot of folks, I don't know if anybody can relate with the twinkle fingers. I can't see you, but I know there's going to be folks who can relate. Many of us grew up in that era of children should be seen and not heard, right? So little voices are shut down in many different ways, and that happened to be a big one that affected many people. And so there's a reclamation of like taking our power back around expressing our feelings, our truth, really even our desires, right? Which we're touching on desire and arousal today in lots of different ways, and pleasure. And so when I'm talking about increasing pleasure in the body, I used to do a lot of sighing when I was little, and for me it was a way of releasing tension. I didn't know what it meant. It didn't really have a meaning. I just knew that my body had to let that out. And you might find that, you know, being at the gym or somewhere out in the world, it's very easy to make sounds while you're doing certain things. And for a lot of folks, they can find it challenging to let the sounds of pleasure out. Now, you may find it much easier to let pleasure out when you're eating food. I certainly do that all the time. And again, as many of the folks on the Back to the Body staff who have eaten meals with me on retreats, if it is good food, you will hear me making lots of sounds of pleasure, which was it's a lot of fun for me. Although I have to be careful because sometimes you can get strange looks from other people in the restaurant. But so I invite you just to take a nice deep breath into your body and let a little sound out on that exhale, the same way that Ron was guiding us in the earlier movements. And just letting everything go with that sound. Take a nice deep breath into the belly, into that diaphragm. On the next exhalation, we're going to see if we can give it a little expression. So imagine the sound now. Imagine it's a sad sound that comes out. Whatever that is for you, without needing to judge it or analyzing that, just letting it be there. And now, what if it was a happy sound? And if the body wants to wiggle or move, let it happen. Let it happen. The whole body's connected. It wants to be part of the process for quite often. Now, let's take another breath in, and then letting yourself maybe make an angry sound. And then one more. Let's take a big breath in. Let's make a sound of pleasure. Your best Harry met Sally moment. And let yourself have fun with it. So I'm going to be sharing a song that I actually wrote for, I believe it was actually maybe even our very first Passport event. And the words are very simple. I want to invite everybody to sing along. I'm going to post those words in the chat box. And this particular little song, this offering, touches on a few things that I love. So it touches on the practice of gratitude, which is a beautiful way of tapping into that inner pharmacy in our bodies, right? It actually does change our blood chemistry when we do any kind of practice around gratitude. It can boost our mood, releases serotonin and dopamine. There's oxytocin that's created. All sorts of things are happening in the body when we're practicing gratitude and incorporating touch, right? That kind of stuff. And I guess I also want to talk a little bit about sound. Releases tension. It strengthens our vagal tone. It helps to regulate our immune system. And we also get a little bit more of that oxytocin because even though we are through a screen and maybe not on all the screen together, there's still a sense of community singing as we're, you know that there's more people who are participating, even if you can't see and hear them. It's happening energetically from all, I'm guessing, many different places in the world right now. So you'll see the words. I'll sing the first verse through, and then I'm gonna teach you the melody, and then we'll sing the whole thing through together. And again, everybody will stay muted just for the logistics of sound purposes, but I want to invite you to sing along at home and let it be big. Let it be as big as feels good for you. Now, if you want to bring touch in, you can bring in a heartbeat. Whether your sense of rhythm is good or whether it's challenging, it's not necessary, but it is another thing you can bring in to deepen this practice. So I'll sing the first verse, which is the I am grateful for my breath. You'll see the second verse goes into the I am grateful for your breath. And then third verse, we are grateful for our breath, our sound, our body. And then back to the fourth is I am grateful for mine, coming back to the self again. So I'll sing the first verse and then I'll teach you just the melody and then we'll sing the whole thing. I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful for my sound. I am grateful for my body that brings me back to all I am. So it's a very simple melody. So I'll teach you that. We'll sing it and then I'll sing it back with you. I am grateful for my breath. All together. I am grateful for my breath. Next line. I am grateful for my sound. Together. I am grateful for my sound. I am grateful for my body. Together. I am grateful for my body. Together. And then I'll sing. That brings me back to all I am. Together. That brings me back to all I am. Okay, we'll do the whole thing now. I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful for my sound. I am grateful for my body that brings me back to all I am. I am grateful for your breath. I am grateful for your sound. I am grateful for your body that brings you back to all you are. We are grateful for our breath. We are grateful for our sound. We are grateful for our bodies that bring us back to all we are. I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful for my sound. I am grateful for my body that brings me back to all I am. Thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, just encouraging people to take sound into your life in all of the ways that are possible for you. Yeah, it can be as simple as singing more often in the shower, creating your own mantras if you have affirmations that you're working with. Add some sound. Yeah. Beautiful. And Christy is asking a question to all of the attendees. How was it to feel your sound? Did you have a chance? Yeah. Did it come from a particular place in your body? Yeah. Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Pamela.
Just noticing again all the ways. Thank you so much, Amy. That was beautiful. all
Pleasure.
that we, as somatic sex educators, bring life into our bodies, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not quite sure how this next piece, Amy, is going to go. I may need a little support from you, Christy, to introduce this. We're going, oh, it's Marla. Oh, thank God, it's Marla. Marla is up. Marla, I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you so much. And please, let the folks know who you are some more and what you're going to be talking about tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I love the introduction to sound because I'm going to be doing a lot of sound as well. So I'm Marla. I am a sexologist, coach, educator. I like to call myself a pleasure activist and a sexual strategist, helping people to really tap into that sexual energy that they have. And so today I really wanted to talk to you about embracing your erotic power. And I wanted to share a story with you. When I was a teenager, when I was 16, I had my very first boyfriend. And, my mom was actually a really great positive force in my life, a sex positive force in my life. She really educated me on what I need to be doing. She really educated me on my body, about sexual responsibility. And that all came from her being a teenage mother and not wanting me to repeat that difficult, bit of a difficult life that she had, raising me as a single mom for a little bit. So with that said, she really just was like, if you're horny, this is what you do. If you're, whatever. So when I was 16, I had my very first boyfriend, and my mother gave me the sexual script of, when you're ready to have sex, or when you go out and buy condoms at the store, that's when you know you're ready to have sex. And so at the age of 16, I was like, okay, I've been with this guy for 5 months. I think, we were both hadn't had sex. So, for our first time, it was just like, okay, we're gonna make this a big deal. So I went to the store, I bought the condoms because I was like, I'm ready to have sex. And, we had sex, and I had fun when I had sex with him, but the fun came in, it was more performative because I wanted to be an actor, right? So for me, it was all about the performance. And so, I'm doing the, oh, yeah, oh, uh-huh, oh, yeah, right there, oh, yeah. And for me, it was titillating to see, his, expression, and the fact that he was feeling good, and the fact that I could make him feel really good. But what I was seriously lacking, of course, and being a teenager, I was seriously lacking the fact that my own pleasure was wrapped up in his pleasure rather than embracing my own pleasure. And so what really, so as I, grew up and I went to college, I had an essay that really, really struck me. And so I wanted to share that with you today. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Audre Lorde and Sister Outsider. But Sister Outsider is a collection of essays and poems. And one of her essays is titled Uses of the Erotic as Power. And so, one of the sentences that really touched me was, the erotic is a measure between the beginnings of our sense of self and the chaos of our strongest feelings. And for me, this was really particularly powerful because it was like, hey, my sense of self says all of these things. I was, in college, I was very experimental. Anything that people offered, I took it up. So, and that ranged from, who I was having sex with to kink to whatever. It was all about thinking about, what I can do to embrace my own pleasure, as well as get to know myself. And so when we think about our eroticism and we think about our own power, it really occurred to me that the power is in my pleasure. The power is in who I connect with. The power is in my pussy, right? Like all of this power was really, it was like I was power hungry in a sense, because the erotic, I had embraced the erotic and I had embraced everything that came with the erotic, which means, for me, it meant showing up for something that was new, something that was different, and going along and being uncomfortable, embracing that discomfort or embracing that awkwardness. And so really what I, want you to think about is how you are embracing your own erotic power. And, when you're thinking about embracing your own erotic power, what comes to mind for you? What are your sexual assets? What are the things that you can use to help you connect with other people? Because our strongest feelings sometimes live in our heads, right? They don't live, we don't express them. We might not say anything. And so I really, really encourage you to be more direct and say what you want. Most of the time when you say what you want, you get what you want. And so this is what I love about Back to the Body. It's just sort of like, hey, what do you want? What do you want from this situation? What do you want from your relationship? What do you want from yourself? Do you want to feel more pleasure? What does that pleasure look like for you? Does it look like dancing? Does it look like giving a lap dance? Does your pleasure look like dressing up? Does your pleasure look like getting an alter ego? What does your pleasure look like? And so, when we embrace our own erotic power, it really, really goes to show you how powerful you can really be in taking charge of your own sexuality and moving forward, learning new things. And, I always encourage people, hey, things that you did, or things that you didn't like 10 years ago, try it again. Your body changes, we change, we evolve, we move forward. And so I find myself always having to go back and say, hey, I haven't done this thing in a long time. I'm going to go ahead and use that erotic energy to go ahead and do it again. So anyway, I'm thinking about like I said before, I specialize in the seduction, thinking about how we connect with people in an auditory way, in verbal, in a visual way, and a tactile way, right? The ways that we touch folks. And with our erotic power, we want to make sure that we always have that erotic intention, right? Every time we go to touch, we can embrace that erotic intent. And just like you saw, like Pamela and Court sort of embrace, like even when they broke character, they still embrace their erotic, their erotic sense of self. And that is what I urge people to tap into, because that makes for not only greater pleasure, but honestly, greater orgasms. And I know, lots of educators and lots of bodywork folks are like, pleasure is number one. And yes, pleasure is number one, but I'm so goal oriented. I'm like, Also, orgasms are amazing. Like, do you know what they feel like? We should have one of those or multiple all the time. So for me, it's really being able to tap in, get out of our heads and all the thinking and all the stressors, get into our bodies and really embrace our erotic power, as well as embrace our journey into that orgasm. And so what I want you to do is I invite you to, Amy actually talked about the vagal sound. So I really want to embrace that a little bit more. And a lot of times for what I also teach like dirty talk and all sorts of fun stuff. And one of the things that we do is tapping into our mms and our ahs. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to rotate between your ahs and your mms. So this is out loud, okay? So again, what I want you to do is, so center yourself, right? I feel like we're a little bit loose. We've had some movement. We have been stretching a little bit. So we're a little bit loose already. So I just want you to rotate and just go with me on your ahs and your ums. Okay, so let's start. So 1, 2, 3. Ah. 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 And now some of you might be familiar with those ahs and ums already, right? Like we do them when we're feeling relaxed, when we're feeling safe. We do them when we're taking a bite of our favorite food, right? We're like, yes. Some of us might even do a happy dance or a happy wiggle. Because it is a source of pleasure. So if you're not used to hearing yourself, a lot of times when people are trying to have orgasms or they're always in their head and they're very silent, this is a way to help you hear yourself. So you're doing your ahs, your ums, and doing those repeatedly are going to help you. Now, I also think about how we get into our higher arousal states, right? So in using our erotic power, how do we get from low arousal to high arousal? And the way that we do that is through our voice, right? So one of the ways, if you're, maybe you're home alone or you're maybe somewhere alone, I don't know, but think about maybe a word that you would like to say, or 2 words maybe that you would like to say while you're thinking about maybe your favorite sexual activity, right? And if you're not used to hearing yourself, you can just do like the word yes. So I'll demonstrate with the word yes. So in a low arousal state, you might say yes. So it's going to be quiet. It's going to be maybe slow. We say yes. So just repeat after me. Yes. 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 Okay. Absolutely. I will definitely repeat the, I got a request to repeat this. And so I will repeat it after we do this exercise. Absolutely. So yes. So repeat. Yes. Yes. Now we want to move into a more aroused state. Yes. We're going to get louder, faster. Yes. 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 Oh, so I can hear somebody else saying yes. And then now we're going to move into high arousal. So moving into high arousal. sounds like. Yes, 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 right? So thinking about those states of being, your erotic power, that erotic intention, you can really move into those states just by saying one word, but moving that energy forward, right? So, yes. So I know I got to wrap up here, but the sentence that I said, which is in the uses of the erotic as power, is the erotic is a measure between the beginnings of our sense of self, so who we are, our sense of self, and the chaos of our strongest feelings. So what is it that we want, desire? What is that carnal energy that takes us, that says, I want somebody to put me up against a wall, or I want to pin somebody down? Our strongest feelings, what are we doing to make it happen for ourselves, right? And here's the thing, we've been taught to simmer down our erotic power, right? We haven't, a lot of times when we're socialized, we have been taught to, hey, tone it down, cover it up, all of these different things, which are the opposite of what we should be striving for. We should be striving to, number one, be authentic and genuine in ourselves, but also embrace all of the erotic power that we have in us. So again, yes, just making sure that when you are embodying that power, that you really speak it out loud, and just knowing that you can move from something small, from your low arousal up to your high arousal. Yes. So the book is called Sister Outsider. It's Essays and Speeches by Audre Lorde. And it's the essay itself, I'm sure you could find it online, called The Uses of the Erotic as Power. And the whole book is absolutely amazing, honestly. And yeah, so let's move from mediocrity to excellency, to goddess status. So I just invite you to do that, with yourselves as well as with each other when we are nesting in our group. So this is beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm taking over for Pamela a little bit, so I'm going to have Kasha join me. Hi, beauty.
Hi. Oh my God, it was totally me making the sounds. I didn't mute myself.
That's not good. I was like, that's awesome. Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. Can you take a minute and introduce yourself? Because we're going to be watching you in this beautiful demo next, and I just want everybody to know who you are.
Oh, right. Okay. Hi, I'm Kasha. Obviously, Caitlin K. Roberts. I am a holistic sex educator. I'm a sexological body worker. I'm a somatic sex educator, and I've been trained as a surrogate partner. So I work daily in holding intimate erotic space with people. And I ranges from a whole spectrum of humans. And I've been working with Pamela and the Back to the Body team for a couple of years now, barring a pregnancy episode in there, pregnancy and babyhood episode. And yeah, I've been running the Everyday program with Christy for the past year now, and it's been really incredible, and how it's grown and shaped and formatted. It's really just getting juicier every round. And hopefully maybe I'll be on retreats in like the next year or two.
That would be wonderful. So we're going to be watching a demo that you've done with your husband, who also is a sexological body worker and works for Back to the Body. And so tell us a little bit about what we can expect. And I want everybody to stay after the demo. When we're in retreat and we're doing a demo, we ask everybody, stay in the room, like just stay in the room, be present, because it's just honoring like what we're seeing. And so you will stay with us, Kasia, and join us after and kind of help debrief and answer some questions and things like that might be coming up. So, and then in the chat, we'll be reminding people throughout the demo, like breathe and like, what are you noticing and things like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. May I jump in?
Please.
Okay. So yes, context. Cosmo is my husband. So you're going to see this video, but he and I have a pre-established relationship. So there's a lot of trust and a lot of comfort there that you didn't see before this video was made. So I just want to like preface that this probably wouldn't be your first session or second session. I mean, maybe if you're feeling particularly open and erotic, but just want to like say years of marriage prior to this and lots of comfort. And the goal in my body during the session was to listen to what I wanted and then ask for it. And sometimes what I wanted was like a direct sensation. Sometimes it was an exploration. Sometimes it was just like let's see what happens. So it's a challenging thing to be filmed and to stay in your authentic self. So it's vulnerable, it's edgy to share it. And I believe that this work is really powerful and potent. And one of the biggest shifts that happened for me was when I actually watched someone else have a session and I learned what was able to happen in my own body. So this was probably one of the most powerful things that I could have done for myself, was to witness someone else asking for what they wanted and to have someone tending to that for a very specific amount of time, and like nothing else taking their attention away. No phones, no children, no dirty dishes, just like, this is about you right now and whatever you want. So yeah, feel like that's a solid.
Okay.
And we stayed within the parameters of sexological bodywork. I'll say that. We're married and we followed all the guidelines that you could do yourself in this work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. So we'll be monitoring the chat throughout, and so feel free to ask the questions. We will be not recording this part because that's just what we're choosing to do. And so I'm going to pause that.
There we go.
So I'd like to invite everybody to the screen. All the practitioners, and Christy and Kasia, thank you so much for sharing so generously of your body. And I'd like to ask for reflections from you first, Kasia. Well, that's really big to watch yourself like that. And then from the team, and we'd like to answer any questions that are pop up in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Pamela. Well, it left me like craving some touch. So I definitely would like to like book a session with someone, whether it's Cosmo or not, who knows. It's like a little like, ooh, butterflies in my chest, just seeing yourself and your vulnerability and like your like dropping everything and just going into pleasure is like, it's edgy. And I was distracted by the sound and that you couldn't hear me. And so I want to be able to share with everyone here the better quality version so you can hear me communicating with Cosmo, because I think that's a really big, important part of session.
I was noticing all the presencing, and I was typing them into the chat, that these sessions are about the person on the table. That the practitioners, whether they're male or female, are not showing up for their pleasure, though it is pleasureful to give pleasure to people. We do find pleasure in that. But the purpose is to be with the client and meet the client's needs, and that our practitioners, male, female, always stay clothed. Hands always are gloved when they're touching genitals, and that we work with consent over and over and over again. So we have a comment. Can you speak about this balance between the intuitive and the known things you like? Because it's very interesting to know how to navigate both in order to maintain that peace and comfort. Not quite sure. I think the question is balancing what you don't know that you like, but you think you might like, with what you don't know and what you do know, like the whole party. Is that kind of the question? Who would like to take that?
I could try.
Go for it, Ron.
What a great question. Like, I can imagine that many people are watching that, and thank you, Kasia, for that really beautiful display of vulnerability and just welcoming touch and welcoming arousal in such I want to say neutral way. Like, there was nudity in touch, but it was so not pornographic. It was just like, wouldn't it be lovely if we lived in a world where that was the norm? That we could all just have that special person or those special people who could offer us touch. And anyway, so the intuitive, so I can imagine people are going, well, I think I might like some of that, and I might like something a bit different, but how do I bring the words together to put that in play? And remembering that what you have seen is an experienced practitioner and an experienced receiver, the progression is slower. And so you get to have a look at sort of an area that you may want to explore. We don't dive into the deep end immediately. If you want to play with a flogger, well, let's see how a flogger can tickle. And let's see how a flogger can make a whole bunch of different sort of sensations. It doesn't have to be hard and impactful right off the top. So you can explore with curiosity and ask to back off and ask to go a little bit further. I noticed that there was a comment about for genital touch and internal touch, hands are gloved, and genital touch and internal touch doesn't happen until you are feeling comfortable in your body, you're feeling the trust in your own ability to speak and to be present while all of this is going on. So there's space for, I think I want to try a little bit of that. And so you try a little bit of that, and it's like, oh, well, that was interesting. Let's try a little bit more. And so there's sort of this progression that takes you in and gives you an opportunity to taste, examine, feel, breathe, taste a little more, breathe, feel, maybe more. So there's lots of opportunities to feel your intuition and feel what you know. And then we start to blend and start to expand your experiences.
That was beautiful. Yay, Ron. You've been doing this a while. Exactly. Who else would like to add to this conversation from our practitioners?
I might just say that some days I'm like, no, I don't want to explore anything. I want this, and this in this order, and don't screw it up. And then some days I'm like, I have more space. Let's like see what's there. So like, it changes all the time.
And we don't always know what we want. I mean, a lot of women come into the everyday program, whether it's virtual or the hands-on program at the retreats, not knowing what they want because they haven't been exposed. You know, if you've only been with one lover, you've only learned what that one lover can bring to the table. You know, you learn with who you've been with. And you may not have had what I call Epicurean touch, knowledgeable hands, you know, people who are professional sex educators who can, you know, support you in an exploration of so many things. And it's okay not to know, because that's what we're here for, is to create a very safe, we call it a safe enough container, because people have trauma and all kinds of things can get triggered. But mostly we have a 98% return rate. So women aren't like dropping off of cliffs because they keep coming back. And we can start out super, super slow with lots of curiosity. And isn't that exciting that this exists? I think it's amazing. I guess that's why we do it. Did another question come in? I'm getting thank yous. Anyone else like to comment? Yes, after, so what Christy is putting on the chat at the moment is we're going to be doing an after party with Christy and what other female bodies want to join. I don't know, Tim might pop in, I don't know, to talk and process about this in a small group where you can actually see each other's faces. If you don't want to see each other's faces, you can just close your video. But Christy wanted to remind everyone. Amy, do you have any comments? Christy, Marla, Tim? Christy, you've come to the retreat as and so have you, Amy.
Yeah.
You know, what was it like for you guys in the beginning?
I think that it was very scary and like edgy for me, because I'm used to touch, like being in partnership with somebody, or like there has to be like a give and take. And so, but what I've gotten from it, and I've shared many times over, is it has deepened my communication with my lover. It has given me confidence. It's given me voice and choice. There's no longer like enduring touch that doesn't feel good. It's like being able to like correct and also give my partner touch in ways that feels really good too. So
Nice. Amy, you want to add? Can't hear you, Amy.
Thank you. I had my other mic muted. Thank you. I said that was beautifully said, Christy. When I came to my very first Back to the Body retreat, I came as a sexological body worker and had a background in Tantra and had many different types of experiences, but was also looking to deepen my relationship with my body and my sexuality and to see what more there was, you know, what other layers of the onion wanted to be stripped down and peeled away and bubble up from inside. And I love what you were saying, Christy, about the enduring, because I'll tell you, even as, you know, experienced practitioners, we can still fall into our old patterns of stuff. And for me, the enduring was a big theme that I really got to play with and really find my voice and choice and speak to in the moment. And so it was a huge part in me becoming much more embodied, much more empowered around voicing my desires, around building that bigger menu that Pamela was just talking about. I mean, when you have a chance to kind of dip your toe in and like experience all of these different things, like there's just so much more options, you know, and we don't always know that we have those. And so to test all these things out in a really safe container is just such a beautiful way to awaken everything inside of us.
Absolutely. And I want to just talk, and I know you want to get in here about obstacles. You know, so many women have all these stories about, well, I'll come when. We have a woman coming to Vegas who's blind. We have our first seeing eye dog coming to Vegas. We have a woman who is very early in a pregnancy who really just wants to try to get some time in and feel her body before, the world takes over her body. We've had women as young as 24 and women, my mother came at 92, but we have, and she did it all, by the way. All the things happened to my mother at 92.
Your mother came at 92, Pamela?
Honey, she
Came
came
where?
assassinated at 92. I didn't drop from nowhere, but she hadn't had touch for 40 years. She literally had not had touch for 40 years.
Can I ask you about that for a second, love?
Sure.
Because this is what I was going to say. Amy touched into patterns. Look at that 40-year pattern. 40-year pattern of not receiving touch. Pamela, your 92-year-old mom came to retreat with Back to the Body. How did she leave?
She left feeling alive, feeling that women have been fed a lot of bullshit about their bodies.
Thank you. What else?
Feeling angry, feeling like.
But my question is did those?
Wait, I have to finish my sentence because you asked.
No, baby.
And so the video, will you send the video post from YouTube to everybody of my mom talking? That'd be great. But she also said that she supplemented with exercise and playing tennis. So now it's your turn.
Well, I guess what I was going to say is that we all get stuck in patterns of non-eroticism, patterns of the way we relate to our partners, patterns in the way we go about our lives, whether we are sort of open and vulnerable in the world or feel guarded and closed. And I know that when we have an opportunity to have an experience in our body, and here's how I know, I'm just going to be really clear. I have sat in counseling sessions with clients over and over and over, years at a time. I'll have 2 sessions a week. That's what, 100 sessions a year, 3 years in a row, 300 sessions. And we do good together. We do great work. They get 25 to 40% change, like their life gets better. We do the same thing here. First of all, you don't talk about all your traumas all the time. Second of all, you're doing it in pleasure. And third of all, it happens so much quicker. If you want to change a pattern in your life, I guarantee you, and I have had all the experiences, from the most Western to the most wacky, from sitting in ceremony to sitting in the psychological room. This has been the fastest and safest way that I have watched people change long-term patterns in their life, and it doesn't take forever. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. So I'm going to maybe close this out with a couple of words. First of all, go to the after party. It's always really great. The women bond, put your video on, meet each other. Hear about the opportunity in June, because it is, ladies, the last $6,000 retreat that we will be having for a long, long time. And it only exists because it was pre-COVID booked. And all the retreat, you will be getting the benefit of the small retreat model that we're now moving into, where the retreats are now 6, 8, or 12 women. We were doing retreats of 20 women. That is gone. And so because we're going much smaller, the price has to go up. Take advantage of this opportunity for a small retreat at the big many woman price. Okay, so lower price with the small group. And it's the only retreat that is left for this year. I think there's one left in Santa Fe. Otherwise, we're sold out until January, even our private retreats. So we're like all in the bag. So take the opportunity. Ladies, I'm going to tell you something personal. Sometimes you have to plan your own abduction. You do. You have to spend the money. You've got to create the time. You've got to book the plane tickets. You've just got to do it, or it never happens. And it doesn't matter how old you are or the condition of whether you're fat, thin, or in between. And I don't know, was that a story I was telling? Was that a fantasy I was sharing? Or have I planned my own private abduction? I leave you with that thought. I am the founder of Back to the Body after all, and I would never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. Kind of a nice hotel room, huh? Yours could be a retreat space. Loving you from here, wink, wink. And we'll see you in the after party. How does that sound? I've got to go. I've got to shower. Loving you all. Go to the after party.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks.